What's up, YouTube? This is the 82-0 podcast. Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about Sam Jones, one of the most important Celtics players of their original dynasty. Now, he was born June 24th, 1933, and he was born in Wilmington, North Carolina. Now, when he was born, you got to understand this is during segregation, so it was very hard for him to get to school. He went to high school at Laurinburg Institute, which was a pretty long walk for him to get to school. And early on, he took an interest in baseball, but it was basketball that was his favorite sport, and he would go to North Carolina Central University. Well, back then it was known as North Carolina College. He's actually had a really good collegiate career. And his initial thought was, I'm not going to become an NBA player. He wanted to be a teacher. It was always his passion to be a teacher, because he thought it's very important to help kids, During the time he grew up, education was limited for African Americans. It was hard for them to get a good education. It was hard for them to get to school. And he felt very passionate about helping young African Americans, by being a teacher. And he also served in the United States Army for 2 years during his college time. So this is what led to him. I don't want to say he was super late to coming in the NBA. He was 24 years old by the time he made the jump to the NBA. And he was originally drafted by the Minneapolis Lakers in the 8th round of the 1956 NBA draft. And that's kind of crazy, because he could have potentially played with Jerry West and Elgin Baylor. How much different would the Celtics franchise be if he was never drafted there? I still think they would have won multiple championships, but I don't think they would have won 11 without Sam Jones. But when he was drafted by the Minneapolis Lakers, he wanted to stay in college to earn his degree and complete his military service. So the Lakers voided the rights to him under the NBA rules. And the Boston Celtics Hall of Fame coach Red Auerbach subsequently took a trip south to scout North Carolina players who had just won the national championship. Former Wake Forest coach Bones McKinley told Auerbach he could visit Chapel Hill, but the best player in the state was a few miles away. Eventually, the Philadelphia Warriors selected North Carolina's Lenny Rosenboth with the 6th pick of the 1957 NBA draft. Boston selected Jones 2 picks later, even though Auerbach had never seen Jones play. Jones made his NBA debut on October 22nd, 1957. And a crazy thing, right? When Jones was selected by the Boston Celtics, he didn't think that he was going to make it in the NBA when he went to the Celtics tryout. Their training camp. He wanted to quit. And it was his wife, who was his partner for many years. I think she passed away in 2015, I want to say. Anyways, his wife convinced him, give it a shot. You don't know how good you're going to be. You got to give it a shot. So, to put it, long story short, he became one of the best Celtics players in NBA history. He didn't make an immediate impact on the Celtics team. They won the championship the year prior to him there. Because they won 56-57, and his first year there was in 57-58. He would only average 4.6 points per game. But he would show promise, And his second season would be his first ring. And by then he would put up 10.7 points per game, 6.0 rebounds per game on 43% shooting. Now, you kind of got to understand that he was like I want to say the third string guard, shooting guard, because the Celtics team, they already had Bill Sharman during this time. They already had Frank Ramsey. They even moved him to the small forward position to kind of allocate him some minutes, So by 58, 59, 59, 60, he was playing small forward. But by the 60-61 season, he started taking more of a leap. He put up 15 points per game on 44% shooting. Then by the 61-62 season, he was a full-fledged all-star, made his first all-star appearance, putting up 18.4 points per game on 46% shooting. So by 64-65, this is when we saw his full-fledged, I want to say, superstar status. He put up 25.9 points per game on 45% shooting. His final season would be the 68-69 season, which was Bill Russell's last season, too. It was the Celtics' final championship of that era. And they were the underdogs against the Los Angeles Lakers. They upset the Lakers in 7 games, beating them 108-106. And Sam Jones and Bill Russell would go on to retire. Now, after Sam Jones retired from the NBA, he would try coaching, right? He originally coached at Federal City College, now known as the University of the District of Columbia, from 1969 to 73, and at North Carolina Central University, his alma mater, in 1973-74. And another crazy fact, he was an assistant coach for the New Orleans Jazz from 74 to 75. And after he was done coaching, he would use his teaching degree. And he was a teacher in the public schools for many years. And from what I heard, he was a very good teacher. I've read stories about, these are online. I don't know if these people were genuine, but I've read stories where people claimed he was one of their teachers, and he was one of the best teachers they had, Like I said, he was married to Gladys Chavez up until her death in 2018. They had 5 children. He lived for several decades in Silver Spring, Maryland, during which time he often served as a substitute teacher in the Montgomery County public school system. He was a resident in St. Augustine, Florida, in retirement. Jones died on the evening of December 30th, 2021, in Boca Raton, Florida. He was 88 years old, and he died of natural causes. He died in his sleep. And to be honest with you guys, it was pretty hard on me when I heard this, because this was during the time I wanted to start this channel. And I know I'm going to do this eventually. I haven't done this yet. I eventually want to start interviewing former players, guys from this generation before they're gone. And he was somebody I really wanted to interview. And what made Sam Jones so great was he was a very fast player and a very underrated defender. And he was known for hitting game winners. And he was very clutch in the playoffs. One of the most clutch performers we've ever seen. Always stepped up in Game 7s. So to give you some examples, in the 1962 NBA Eastern Divisional Finals Game 7 between the Philadelphia Warriors and the Boston Celtics, where the Celtics won 109-107, Sam Jones would put up 28 points, 7 rebounds. Give you another example. 1963 NBA Eastern Divisional Finals Game 7, Cincinnati Royals at the Boston Celtics. Sam Jones had 47 points on 66% shooting. Crazy. 1965 NBA Eastern Divisional Finals Game 7, Philadelphia 76ers at Boston Celtics. The Celtics won 110 to 109. Sam Jones had 37 points, and he had the game winner. Well, it was essentially the game winner. He had the last shot. But the 76ers had plenty of time to inbound it, and Havlicek stole the ball. So I don't want to give Sam Jones the sole credit for this game, because this was the game where Havlicek stole the ball. But like I said, he had an act for being the clutch performer in these situations. 1969, Game 7, Boston Celtics and Los Angeles Lakers. Sam Jones would put up 24 points in his final game. So, without Sam Jones, I really doubt the Celtics would have won 11 championships. He was a great defender, great clutch performer, great shooter, and some people compare him. I don't know if it's really accurate to compare him, but this is just something I've always heard. He was like the Kobe Bryant of his time. In terms of, he was similar in his field goal percentage. He was similar in his play style, his defensive ability as a shooting guard. But he's a 10-time NBA champion, 3-time All-NBA, 5-time All-Star. So let me know what you guys think down below. Rest in peace, Sam Jones.